Awesome. Love to see it. That is great. It's just amazing to see how awesome, this remote and hybrid world can be. But to be honest, I can't wait to meet with all of y'all during the fall quarter, see everyone in person. The campus is absolutely amazing if y'all haven't been there quite yet. So just happy and glad to meet with all y'all here today. And I will actually pass it over to our dean, Katie McGann.
Hi, everyone. I'm just doing a quick check of our 8th college advising email to make sure if there's anyone that messaged saying they were having issues. So let me just do that real quick. I think I saw Kayla and I saw Aria here. And I think that was, Mike, was that who Sophia said we'd have this afternoon, or we have anyone else? Maybe
I
Austin?
believe so. I believe Aria and Kayla, but
Okay. Not seeing any emails. Cool. Close that out. Back. Alrighty. Should be good here. All right. And then folks do not need to fill out an attendance form. Got a question from somebody on that. We're able to see who the participants were, like one of the cool features of Zoom. So we don't have to do anything extra. If you're here, we will know about it. Right. I think anything else in the chat? So Mike, if you can manage waiting room and chat, and then we'll just flip-flop when you're presenting, and then we'll go from there.
sounds good. Thanks, Katie.
Oh, fist bump, my man. All right. Close this out and get rolling. Okay, I think we are good. All right, so hello everyone. Welcome to our 8th College Enrollment and Academic Planning webinar. It was so fun to see, like Mike said, where everyone is logging in from, and that we truly are, at this point in the year, a global community. We're excited to see you here today. And I see a lot of you already did this, which was awesome. And we'd invite you. No, we're going to be talking at you a lot. But if you're willing and able to turn on your cameras, it's fun for us and for you all just to see one another's faces. No, not everybody's in a space where they feel comfortable doing that maybe. But really 8th College you'll hear about in a minute is about building community and engagement. And there's a lot more depth to that, but creating human connection is a way to do that. And even though we're on Zoom, just kind of even seeing your faces as we were getting started, I was getting excited because there's human beings on the other side of this. So if you're willing to do that, we appreciate it. I'm going to actually just pause because we realized when we built the slide deck, I just talk at you for like 5 minutes before I even introduce myself. Mike mentioned my name. I'm Katie McGann. I'm the Dean of Academic Advising for 8th College. I use she, her pronouns. Couple quick facts about me. You heard I'm from originally the Sacramento area, Elk Grove to be exact, which is just south of Sacramento. So I grew up there. I am an alum of UC San Diego, which Mike is as well, and I'm sure he will be sharing a little bit more about himself in just a minute. But I'm an alum of UC San Diego, which makes getting to work with our students in this capacity even more of a joy for me. I love being able to work with students, and the fact that I've got that connection with UC San Diego as a student myself makes it even more of an honor for me. A few other identities I have. I was an NC2A athlete. I played basketball at UC San Diego and had a great experience. And then I'm also a proud member of the LGBT community. So just wanted to share a few things about myself. And I think one of the beautiful things about being part of a college campus, especially as big as UC San Diego is that you're going to find lots of people that share similar identities to you, as well as ones that where we don't overlap. And I think the amazing part of that is getting to have all those kind of different identities together and really learning from one another. So that's a little bit about me. I'll ask Mike to share a little bit about himself in just a minute. So we've really got 5 goals for you today, and we want you to walk away from today with these 5 things, and hopefully we've made a move in the needle with these 5 things. We want you to know how to navigate your enrollment and academic planning tools. So that's number 1. We want you to know how to plan, enroll in your fall classes. We want you to know how to utilize the Virtual Advising Center, also known as the VAC or VAC, to ask questions. We want you to feel supported by your academic advisors, and we want you to walk away from today feeling like you've gained some exposure to ACE College, as well as the campus resources, which do include your peers, two of which are here with you today. We've got a pretty packed agenda, and we want to give you the opportunity to ask questions at the end. We completely understand this is a lot of information to take in. So I'll invite you all to take a collective deep breath with me. And we'll do that again at the end. We are going to make a recording of this presentation available to you all, and we'll share that with you next week. And then you'll have a few weeks before enrollment starts, so you'll have time to digest all this information before you actually have to go and apply it. So here's our roadmap for today. We'll start by having an ACE College overview. Then we'll be covering different topics on how to use certain tools for planning and enrolling in your classes. The next few topics, we're going to cover your requirements and understanding how to use the tools that we previously covered to actually pick your classes. And then we'll be covering a few important enrollment and advising dates to keep on your radar. We'll close that out with briefly mentioning some student resources to familiarize yourself with, and then we'll wrap it all up with a student panel and a Q&A at the end. Quick note with regards to the Q&A. So we have the Q&A function as opposed to the chat. I mean, the chat is active, but we have the Q&A function enabled. And we'd ask that you use that to ask questions rather than the chat because it allows us to better keep track of what we've answered. We also ask that you hold your questions to the end or until the end so that we can get through everything. The only caveat to that would be if there's a specific clarification question regarding the topic that we're covering at that exact moment, maybe we didn't say something exactly clear, that would be an appropriate time to do that. Otherwise, we'd ask that you wait till the end. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump in and get started. So I've already introduced myself. I'm going to ask Mike if he'll come to the stage, if you will, and unmute and introduce himself.
Hey, everybody. Again, glad to be here with you today in community. My name is Mike Markulin, a senior academic advisor. I am an alum of UCSD myself. Political science, public policy was the major. Absolutely loved my major. And then I went and got a master's in higher education leadership studies and absolutely love my master's as well. So again, just so happy to be here with you today. Maybe a couple fun facts. I'm a first generation student. I'm also a former CASP student, if there's any CASP UCSD students out there. And both my parents were from Croatia. So I was first gen born in the United States, the Bay Area, San Jose. And you will see me kind of in tie, button up shirts most of the time, but I rock J's and Nikes exclusively. So you will see me maybe in slacks and a button up, but you will see me in my J's and my Nikes all the time. So if you are a sneakerhead like I am, please don't hesitate to, contact me, talk sneakers, but also I do absolutely a lot of reading, a lot of sports. I do yoga. I do everything, or at least try it. So again, just so happy to be here with y'all today and can't wait to meet with y'all in fall.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. We've got a couple other folks that want to introduce you to today, even though they're not physically present with us. They're people that you will get exposed to throughout your time here at UC San Diego and ACE College. So first and foremost is Dr. Angela Booker, who is the provost for ACE College, and really means that she's the CEO of ACE College. Everything that happens at the college runs through her, and she's also a faculty member within our communications department and does a lot of scholarship and academic work in the space of community and community organizing. So there's no one better that I can think of for leading this endeavor than Dr. Angela Booker. Sophia Higuereta is someone that some of you may have already been in communication with ACE College. She's our assistant academic advisor. Also is a UC San Diego alum, was a Muir College student, and brings with her the background of having been a peer advisor in Muir College for 2 years. So a wealth of knowledge and a great member of our staff. Also, we'll round out the academic staff by mentioning Erica Kirk. Erica is joining our team on Tuesday and is somebody that's been around campus for quite some time, also a UC San Diego alum. and is fantastic, and I can't wait for you to meet Erica. The other two on this slide are Priscilla Ju. PJ is what she goes by. So PJ Ju is our interim Dean of Student Affairs, and we'll be welcoming our permanent Dean of Student Affairs hopefully in the next few weeks. And then Leroy Ford is the Director of Residence Life here for ACE College, somebody that if you are living on campus, you're going to get to know pretty darn well. Since Leroy can't be here today, he was able to join some of the other sessions earlier this week. He did share with us some of kind of the common question or answers to some of the common questions we've been getting from students in these sessions throughout the week. And I'm going to try to remember to do this. So Mike, I'm going to ask for an accountability buddy on this, that if I don't remember to drop these questions and answers in the chat, that'd be awesome. And if neither Mike or I remember, if one of you would hold us accountable and remind us to do that. There were a lot of questions around housing, which is understandable because one, that's a pretty top priority. If anyone's familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of need, housing and somewhere to lay your head is pretty darn high up there. And it's you can't focus on the other needs if that basic need isn't met. So we'll cover a few things with that at the end. Just know that there may be some things that Mike and I are not experts in that space. It's not really in our full wheelhouse, but we'll make sure if those questions aren't answered that you are able to get connected with either Leroy or Housing and Dining, also called HDH. All right, so I mentioned that we have a few students with us today. These are current UC San Diego students that are here to give you some student perspective at the end. Each of them is an orientation leader for ACE College. So you'll be seeing them not only here today, but at your in-person orientation in September. So I saw they are both here. So let's just go ahead and do this. Kayla, could you introduce yourself to the group, your name, what year you are in school, your major, if you're comfortable sharing your pronouns, and a little fun fact about yourself, and then we'll invite Aria to do the same.
Yeah, of course. Hi, I'm Kayla. I'm a second year developmental psych major. I'm also on the pre-med track. My pronouns are she, her, and I guess a fun fact about me is I'm a part of Chaotix, which is an organization on campus.
Kayla, what does that organization do?
It's an all-inclusive dance club surrounding K-pop.
Right on. Cool. Aria, would you care to introduce yourself to the group?
Oh, yes. My name is Arya. I'm going into my third year, and I'm an eighth orientation leader. My major is human biology on the pre-med track. And some things I like to do on my free time are that I like to go to the beach, and I like going to cafes and having picnics with my friends.
Cool. Right on. Thanks, Aria. So Aria and Kayla will rejoin us at the end, and you'll have an opportunity to ask them some questions. I've also got some preloaded questions for them that we've been sharing throughout the week, and they've had some wonderful insights. So I look forward to you all getting to hear a little bit more from them. We're going to pivot now into talking about ACE College more specifically. So every college at UC San Diego has a unique theme or ethos that informs its general education requirements, its student activities, and essentially all programs that the college offers. At ACE College, our theme is community and engagement. And as such, we focus on interdisciplinary approaches to solving issues within the local community and beyond. From an academic standpoint, this is the lens by which our general education is intended to teach students to critically think about and then work in partnership. That's a key thing, working in partnership with community to address the difficult challenges faced by humanity. One of our leading charges at UC San Diego, but specifically in ACE College, is finding ways to combat structural racism and dismantle anti-Blackness. And when we say that, we mean not just dismantling anti-Blackness, but working towards a system and a society that is in fact pro-Black. Throughout all this, our ethos is also centered on both individual and collective wellness. Looking at this slide here, these are difficult challenges, and true reciprocal, ethical community partnership is not easy. It requires an ability to be well, to celebrate, and ultimately to be able to find joy. This image on the screen gives you hopefully a visual of the different areas within 8th College and how we truly are a home base that provides holistic support for students to thrive both inside and outside the classroom. The 8th College experience provides individualized access to academic advising, support services, student leadership opportunities. On the left-hand side, you can see the different entities or teams within the 8th College, and on the right, short explanation of how each of these teams intends to support you. One element that's not yet reflected here is our 8th College Council, which is the student leadership component of 8th College, and understandably, you aren't all here yet, right? So this is the reason it's not here yet, why it's not off the ground yet, because we're waiting for you. If this is of interest to you, be on the lookout for opportunities to engage in this way. So to kind of close this section out, being part of 8th College enables you to thrive as an individual, become part of an active community, and hopefully remedy any concerns you might have anticipated about attending a large university. UC San Diego's college system essentially creates a close-knit community of a small liberal arts college where we strive to get to know each other by name and interest, and where we provide students clear connections for learning and living well. Then at the same time, UC San Diego students gain the intellectual benefit of a large, top-ranked research institution that's one of the best public universities in the world. Before we jump into the next topic, just a quick note about how academic advising at UC San Diego works. Your 8th College academic advising staff, much like 8th College, is your home base. We can help and support your academic transition to UC San Diego. We can help you we can help you understand your general education and university requirements. We can assist you with developing a personalized academic plan. And then these next two we really pride ourselves on is connecting you with academic support resources and then helping you navigate university offices, policies, and procedures. Sometimes at a large university, like you just don't know where to go. And so we really pride ourselves on being resource connectors within our team. And last but not least, we can help you explore various educational opportunities. One way to think about it is that the college advising team are more generalists in how we help you. And then you've got specialists within your major department or program that have their own advisors and advising services. All right, we're going to move on now and discuss how to enroll in classes by navigating through and using your student enrollment tools. By this point, everyone should have access to their Triton Link student accounts. And on the Triton Link tools page, which we've got a screenshot of here, you'll find all your student academic, enrollment, and personal tools. We really encourage you to check out all that's available through here after the webinar. If you're ever wondering, where do I find that tool? Where was that resource they talked about? Triton Link really is the best place to start. Today, we're mostly going to be discussing WebReg, which is highlighted here, but I also want to bring your attention to holds down here at the bottom. So if you were to navigate to this without logging in, you go to Triton Link Tools, boom, you're there. You'll see an option for holds, and then you'll be prompted to sign in. It's critical that you be aware if you have a hold on your account because holds will prevent you from enrolling in classes. Oh, good. Incoming students, you can have a hold for a variety of reasons, such as not completing your required trainings. Some of you, all of you would have been required to submit immunization documents or TB screening, tuberculosis screening results. You have to submit all your official documents like transcripts, and then you also have to register for your 8th College orientation. So the first thing you should all do after this webinar, before you clock out for the weekend, is log into your Triton Link account and then check if you have a hold. If you have a hold, get that resolved before your enrollment appointment comes up, which we'll talk about that in a moment. But some of these holds do not resolve as soon as you push whatever button it is that you need. There's sometimes a little bit of a lag time. Sometimes the actual human being has to go in and verify results. So you do not want to be waiting till the 11th hour right before your enrollment time and then frantically calling, whatever office it is. So you want to control the controllables. And then this is another thing I like to say to students is don't make your emergency my emergency. We're absolutely here to help you, but help yourself by getting this stuff done early. Now we're going to dive into WebReg, and on the screen here is another view of how you can navigate to WebReg by hovering over the Classes and Enrollment tab, which is right here, and then you'll see WebReg in the dropdown. So WebReg is the enrollment tool students utilize to plan out and enroll in their courses. So it allows students to find courses and plan their schedules during current and future terms. At this point, I'm going to invite Mike back up, and he is going to take you through enrollment times.
All right, thank you so much, Katie. The first thing we're going to cover is the use of WebReg, how to find out when you can sign up or enroll in classes. Thank you so much, Katie. When you log into WebReg, you'll see a page that looks like this. Use the drop-down to navigate to your quarter of interest and click Go. Enrollment appointment times will be released on August 14th. On the 14th, when you click on appointment time, you will get a pop-up box that shows two enrollment times, your first pass and your second pass enrollment. Your appointment time includes when your enrollment window opens as well as when it closes. So make sure you are aware of both the start and end times. At UC San Diego, enrollment is divided into two appointment times, first pass and second pass enrollment. During the first pass, students can enroll in up to 11.5 units. So make sure that you enroll in your most important courses first. For instance, if you are placed in an AWP course, make sure to register for this during your first pass to best ensure you get a spot in the class. You cannot waitlist courses during your first pass. So enroll in at least 8 units of credit during that first pass. Once your first pass window closes, you have to wait until second pass to continue enrolling in courses. During the second pass, you can enroll in 8 more units for a total of 19.5 units. This includes your waitlisted units. If you have a concern about your enrollment times, you can contact the Office of the Registrar as they handle questions regarding enrollment and appointment times. Now that you have now that you know how to find your enrollment appointment time, we're going to move on to discussing how to navigate WebReg, plan and enroll in classes.
And Mike, I'm hearing a couple things in the chat that our audio is a little choppy. So sounds like it was probably more with me than with you.
Okay.
But I'll just let folks know if it's happening and it's getting where you can't understand us, if somebody could just unmute and let us know, and we'll see what we can do. We're managing wait room and all kinds of stuff, so we may not notice it in the chat. So just give us a heads up if that's happening.
Most definitely. Thank you so much for that, Katie. And if you could pop
next
to the
slide,
next
right?
slide, please. Yes, thank you.
Okay, cool. There you go.
All right. When preparing for enrollment, it is important to note that UC San Diego operates on a quarter system. There are 3 quarters in an academic year: fall, winter, and spring, and each quarter consists of 10 weeks. Once you have logged into WebReg and selected the appropriate quarter, you can search for courses utilizing the search bar. You can either search for all classes offered in a department or a specific class. For example, if we type econ, E-C-O-N, it shows all economics courses being taught that quarter. Or you could type a specific class, for example, Econ 1, and it will show just that course and the particular times that are available for that course. If the course doesn't show up, it means it's not being offered that quarter. Once we click on Econ 1, we see all Econ 1 classes being offered that quarter, along with how many seats are available and the total number of seats in the class. You will also see how many people are on the wait list if the class is full. On this page, you will typically see 3 options: plan, enroll, and waitlist. The plan option places the course in your list of courses. This is useful for both creating a tentative schedule and quickly enrolling when your enrollment time comes around. For now, you should only see the plan option. Enrolling and waitlisting are only available during your enrollment appointments. And again, waitlisting is only allowed during second pass. Lectures are typically taught by faculty, while discussion sections are primarily taught by graduate level teaching assistants. In discussion sections, you will review material covered in lecture, ask questions, solve problems, take quizzes, and more. You are required to attend lectures and discussions unless otherwise noted by your instructor. So make sure both parts of the class fit your schedule. In this example, we're going to plan the Tuesday, Thursday section with the Friday at 5 p.m. discussion because it has 6 seats available. You can see there are a couple other options that have 0 seats available, so they will only have the waitlist option available. In this example, you can see the options of plan and enroll for the class we're planning. And for the discussions that have 0 seats available, you see plan and waitlist. Know that planning courses does not enroll you in the class. Once your enrollment time comes up, you must still click the enroll button, but planning your schedule in advance allows you to quickly enroll in your courses once your appointment time opens. This photo shows the calendar feature of WebReg, where you can see what your planned schedule looks like, including a schedule of your finals. The default view is list, but by clicking the calendar and finals tab, you can get this type of visual. Any classes you plan, waitlist, or enroll in will show up here and allow you to look at your upcoming schedule. Once your enrollment appointment starts, you will have the ability to click enroll to add your classes. Remember that just because you have planned a class does not mean that you will be enrolled in the class once your appointment opens. You need to click the enroll to add the class. Once you click enroll, you will be prompted to choose a grading option. You should select letter grade unless you verify with your major or college advisor that you may take a certain requirement as pass, no pass. Letter grades are calculated into your UCGPA. Pass, no pass grades are not calculated into your UCGPA. If you take a class for pass, no pass, you need to receive at least a C- to pass the class. Even after you've enrolled in a course, you can change your grading option up to the Friday of week 6 of the quarter. To do this, you'll log into WebReg. In your list of enrolled classes, you'll see a button called Change next to the course. You'll click this and it will give you the ability to change your grading option. You will be asked to confirm the new grading option, just like you had to confirm the course when you initially added it to your schedule. If you try to enroll in courses that conflict with one another or in courses where the final exams are at the same time, the system will give you scheduling conflict warning. You should avoid this situation. Here is a calendar view visual of how conflicts are flagged. The system outlines issues in red. To drop a course, click the drop button on your course schedule list. Before you drop a course, make sure you have selected the correct one. You can also drop yourself from a wait list. Whenever you make a change on WebRed, add, drop, waitlist, change grade option, be sure to click the send me an email confirmation button to receive a record of your transaction. If for some reason you do not receive a confirmation email, we recommend taking a screenshot of the request successful notification. Next, we're going to quickly review the different components of your degree that each of you will need to complete to graduate. You can find the 8th College Student Degree Requirements on your 8th College website by clicking on the Academics tab. All students must successfully complete university, general education, and major requirements. All UC San Diego students must fulfill these university-wide requirements regardless of the college they are enrolled in. This includes clearing the entry-level writing requirement, ELWR, which allows you to move forward in taking your specific college's writing program. Some students, based on placement, might need to take AWP course or courses in order to satisfy ELWR. You must also fulfill the American Histories and Institution requirement, also known as AHI, which most of you should have fulfilled in high school. For more information about the AHI requirement, please see the general catalog. All students must take the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion requirement, DEI, which has an approved list of courses to choose from. You can overlap this course with your general education courses as long as the course that is selected meets the criteria to fulfill both requirements. You must complete a minimum of 180 units, with at least 60 of those units being upper division units. You may take classes as pass-no-pass instead of a letter grade, but your total amount of pass-no-pass classes cannot exceed 25% of your total UC units. Before taking any classes pass-not-pass, you must check if this is permissible. Most major courses cannot be taken as pass-no-pass. Finally, you must have at least a 2.0 GPA to graduate. With regards to your general education, as an 8th college student, this consists of 4-course critical community engagement series and 10 breadth GE requirements. Critical community engagement is abbreviated as CCE and will consist of 3 lower division courses, CCE1, CCE2, and CCE3, and 1 upper division community-centered projects course, CCE 120. We'll provide you more information about CCE in your upcoming Canvas modules. You will not start with CCE until at least winter quarter. Breadth requirements are fulfilled by completing 2 courses from each of 5 areas: arts, humanities, natural science, quantitative method/engineering, and social sciences. Breadth requirements can be completed anytime throughout your undergraduate career and can overlap with your major. Rather than thinking of breadth requirements as a checklist, we encourage you to use your breadth requirements as a way to critically explore different aspects of community. Breadth requirements are an opportunity to nourish yourself intellectually, gain or deepen your exposure to different ways of knowing, and also hopefully have fun in some of those classes. You can find a list of approved courses for each area of the breadth requirements on the 8th webpage. We'll provide you some more food for thought about how to approach your breadth requirements in your upcoming Canvas module. Some of you may be coming in with AP or IB credit or be transferring in college courses. These can potentially be used to satisfy breadth requirements. On the 8th college website, there is a link to the AP IB charts where you can see how those credits might apply. As a reminder that the posting of credits by admissions has encountered a delay. While you all should have submitted all your AP and IB scores or transferable courses to admissions already, know that these are still being uploaded. If you're not seeing your expected credits just yet, be patient, and you do not need to send in those documents if you've sent them in already. Now we're going to transition into talking about your fall quarter enrollment guidance and how to use that to pick your fall classes. To access enrollment guidance, you will need to log into the Virtual Advising Center, VAC, at vac.ucsd.edu. Your student credentials to log into the VAC. After you have logged in, the VAC homepage will look like the picture on the right side of the webinar slide. Select Enrollment Guidance tab to view your enrollment guidance. Enrollment guidance was made available on August 9th, so you should be able to access that now. Here's a visual of what enrollment guidance looks like. There are 3 sections of information provided on enrollment guidance: major/proposed major, placement information, course selection/enrollment recommendations, which includes a plan your classes section at the end. Let's take a look at each section individually. The current major section provides information on the major you were admitted with to UC San Diego. The proposed major is the proposed major you inputted in the new Triton advising system. If you didn't list a proposed major on the new Triton advising system, the proposed major section will be blank. If you do not intend to, or if you do intend to pursue your proposed major, know that you are not yet officially enrolled in that major. To change your major, you need to use the major and minor tool on Triton Link to officially switch your major. You can start changing your major after you have enrolled in your fall 2023 classes. If you've proposed a CAP major, you cannot switch into a capped major using the major and minor tool. A capped major limits how many students are able to declare that major, and there's an application process. If you are interested in switching into a capped major, visit the capped major webpage and meet with a major department advisor for more information. Also, if you are currently enrolled and admitted into a capped major, be advised if you decide to switch out of the capped major, but later then want to come back into the capped major, you will need to go through the entire application process for that capped major, and re-entry is not guaranteed. The next section of information is placement information. This includes personalized information on placement results into entry-level writing ELWR, math, chemistry, and foreign language. Students who meet the ELWR through the writing placement process, qualifying AP IB scores, or qualifying SAT scores will have it listed on their placement information, as can be seen on the picture on the left side of the screen. Students who do not meet the ELWR through AP IB scores or SAT scores must complete the writing placement process. After completing the writing placement process, you will be provided information on if you meet the ELWR or if you need to enroll in an AWP course, as can be seen on the picture on the right side of the screen. If you need to take AWP, make sure to enroll in this course during the fall if advised to do so by your placement and the AWP office. You should prioritize enrolling in this during your first pass. Next is the math placement information. Math prerequisites can be fulfilled through AP IB scores or math SAT scores. If you do not meet math prerequisites from qualifying AP IB or SAT scores, you need to take the math placement exam, MPE. Please see the math testing website for information on how to take the exam. After taking the exam, you will be provided information on what math course to take. The left side picture shows a student that was instructed to take Math 4C. They need to take the Math 20 series, or to take Math 10A if they need to take the Math 10 series. On the right side, this student was instructed to take Math 3C if they need either Math 20 or Math 10 series. The math course that you take is based on if your major has math requirements and your math placement exam information. To see if your math major requires math, check the major's webpage and your academic plan, which we will show you in a moment. If your major does not have math requirements, check the 8th College webpage to see the different courses you can take to satisfy your quantitative method/engineering requirement. Not all of them require you need to meet a certain math prerequisite. There is also a chemistry placement exam. This exam is not mandatory and will only provide a suggested chemistry course to take. If you do not need chemistry for your major, you do not technically need to take chemistry, since you can fulfill the natural science GE requirements using other courses. The foreign language exam is also not mandatory. Not all majors require a foreign language, nor is it required for your 8th College GEs. If your major has a language requirement, please contact your major to further understand the requirement, and if taking the language placement may be beneficial to you and completing those major language requirements.
Hey, Mike, before we go on to the next one, a question came into the chat that this might be a good place for this. Plus, you get like the hardest. This is like the hardest slide. Because we're going to use Math 10 and 20 as an example here in just a minute, can you explain what the difference is between Math 10 and 20?
Absolutely, absolutely. So Math 10 series is calculus and, college, higher education calculus. Math 20 is also higher education calculus. However, that is geared specifically towards engineering calculus. So that's the big difference. I'd say probably most common course based off majors is going to be Math 10, and obviously Math 20 is going to be expected for certain majors on campus. However, if there's a Math 10 or 20 choice for your major, if you want to learn engineering calculus, go for the Math 20 series. If you want to just focus on calculus and general calculus, higher education calculus, focus on the Math 10A series.
Awesome. Thank you.
Of course, of course.
All right. You good if we move forward?
Yes, yes, I am.
Awesome.
Gave me
Here we go.
Gave me a moment to take a sip. So that was good. I was getting a
Exactly.
little dry.
Cool.
All right.
All right. Here you go.
Thank you so much, Katie. The next section on enrollment guidance is helpful information on course selection and enrollment recommendations. This includes important information on units, grading options, holds, entry-level writing, 8th college GE requirements, and major requirements. If you selected that you have an interest in pre-health on the new Triton advising system, there will also be some pre-health resources. We're not going to go over this section line by line, but I do want to point out the first line about units. Please enroll in at least 12 units per quarter to maintain full-time student status. If you're receiving financial aid, living on campus, and or an international student with a student visa, you must maintain full-time units. You will see in the academic plans we'll be discussing in a moment that we often recommend taking 16 units per quarter to be on track to graduate in 4 years. But during the first quarter, most plans, but not all, reflect taking 12 units to best ease into the transition to college level courses and the quarter system. This is a continuation of the course selection and enrollment recommendation section, which you'll have access to and be able to read through now as enrollment guidance was made available on August 9th. We strongly encourage you to read through this thoroughly. Really good information on that. And sending it back over to you, Katie.
All right. Before we keep moving forward, somebody asked in the Q&A where they would have access to this web page shown on the slide. So the person that submitted that question, if you can in the chat just direct message me, I want to make sure you're asking where the information that Mike is going over right now, this kind of proposed major enrollment guidance, is that what you were asking? Give them a sec to confirm. Perfect. Okay, cool. We're on the same page. So all of this information, as a reminder, is accessible through what Mike talks about, Virtual Advising Center. So vac.ucsd.edu. When you get there, it'll be this page that you're seeing, and you'll click on enrollment guidance. And then everything Mike just went through is exactly what you will see, just tailored to you. Close that question. Boom. Okay. I do see that we had a couple other questions coming in. I know Mike's going to tackle those while we're moving things through. And just a reminder to folks that unless it's pertinent to that exact moment in time, we'll just save those to the end. And if we don't answer it until the end, know that we do see them. We're just intentionally waiting till the end to cover them. All right, let me get myself back in situated, close out the chat because Mike's going to tackle that. All right. So what we're going to do now is do a run through of how you tie all this together using the plan your classes section that you will see at the end of that enrollment guidance. So this section outlines what I would call your next steps for putting your fall schedule together. We're not going to be giving you a precise schedule of take X, Y, Z, and at this time in this particular section, because there's just too many variables across students. You all have different levels of placement that Mike talked through. Everybody's got a different major. Some of you may work part-time or full-time. Some of you may be NC2A athletes where you got specific practice times you need to avoid. And then others, there's just a personal preference aspect that one of our orientation leaders talked about that's important for you to kind of know about yourself. You won't always have, complete control over what time you take some classes, but maybe you want to try to build a schedule that is a little more like night or evening heavy because you're a little more of a night owl. or you're just somebody that like is up, rear, and ready to go first thing in the morning, and you just want to pack your schedule at the first half of the day. This gives you the autonomy and also, like, I'm sure a little bit like angst around creating your own schedule, but we've got this section that gives you a 5-point action plan for making your own schedule, utilizing the information from your enrollment guidance. The first step is to view the academic plan for your specific major. So you can find this a couple different ways. It's linked to on our ACE College website. You can get there directly by going to plans.ucsd.edu. And once you log into VAC, the VAC, that'll also be one of the options there as direct link to academic plans. Once you're there, you'll be prompted to select your college. So everybody's going to enter ACE College, your entering year, so 23, and then your major. So you'll have a two-step thing there. You'll have to enter department and then major. It'll show you a sample for your plan for your major college combo. Even if you're undeclared, perfectly okay, right? And also perfectly normal. There's an option for you to select unaffiliated for department, and then you can select undeclared for the major. You'll find a sample plan just like everyone else and some resources to help explore potential different major options. The image here is showing the suggested first-year plan for a general biology major in ACE College. So, like I said, it will show you a 4-year plan. All I did, though, is screen grab just the first year because that's really what we're focused on today. These plans are going to vary based on your own individual place credit you're bringing in. Mike talked about this, but some of you may be coming in with AP, IB scores, or other transferable types of credit that might satisfy certain requirements. If that's the case, you'll adjust your plan accordingly. So for instance, if in the plan, like here, it says you need Math 10A, 10B, and then Math 11, but you are coming in with AP credit that fulfills Math 10A, you're going to want to just go right into 10B. So essentially what we're doing is taking what was slotted in fall and winter and shifting it to the left, right? Or if you placed into an AWP course, you'll want to take that instead of DEI, which can be taken at any time. You've got some categories of classes that really can be moved around. So your DEI requirement, your breadth requirements, which Mike talked about, and then electives, which we're not covering today, but some folks will need electives. Basically, what electives mean is that with what you're taking and have to take with your major and between your major and your college requirements, your GEs, you need to top off. So Mike had mentioned that you need to have 180 units to graduate and then 60 of those being upper division. Not everybody is going to hit 60 and 180 just doing their major requirements and their other university requirements, including their GE. So electives are essentially you topping things off with additional units. Those 3 categories of things can be taken at any time. So you can kind of liken them to Lego pieces that you can be moving around in order to accommodate major requirements, specific placements, or classes that you have to take at exact moments in time. As a reminder, with the current delay in credits posting, these things like your AP/IB or transferable credit may not be showing on your record just yet. So you can use the AP and IB charts provided on the ACE College website that are linked to here to kind of help you fill in the gaps while things are catching up on the admissions end. All the links that we have on these slides here, Mike went ahead and compiled those on one sheet, and we'll get those out to you so that you have those readily available at your fingertips. 2 other things with regards to academic plans before we move to the next slide. One is that every plan contains comments at the bottom of the plan. You are going to really want to read those carefully because those are specific notes about your exact major and college combo. Second thing is if you're thinking about a minor or a double major, we can discuss a long-term academic plan once fall quarter starts. For today and for the next few weeks before classes start, the focus is really ensuring you know how to approach your first quarter of enrollment. Long-term plans, we can wait. We really want to make sure everybody has the time and the space and the access to feel comfortable and confident in approaching their first quarter of enrollment. The next step is kind of zooming in on that academic plan and really looking at the fall quarter that's been suggested. So based on the academic plan, we know that the classes that are suggested for this example student to take in the fall quarter are, Chem 6A, Math 10A or 20A, Build 4, and a DEI course. Recall that if your placement results for math or chemistry are such that you need to take a different math or chemistry, you just swap those out accordingly. For example, we're going to pretend that this student, like we mentioned in the slide before, already has credit for Math 10A, so we're going to go straight to Math 10B. And then we're also going to pretend, for the sake of today, that Chem 6A is what the placement exam suggested. Now what you'll do is you'll go to WebReg and search for these classes, like Mike talked you through. You'll piece together a schedule based on what classes are available, which have open seats, and how all 4 of those fit together with one another. And remember that if there's a schedule conflict between the courses that you've planned, the system is going to give you a warning about that. In order to pick a DEI course, you can check out the list of approved courses, pick one that you find interesting, and then we're going to check out if it's being offered in the fall and what time and day that is. For purposes of this example, I'm going to pretend that I've gone through that list, and what I did is I've selected Music 19R, Blacktronica Afrofuturism. One thing that we didn't always point out, the R on the course code here means that it is remote. We have moved back to a primarily in-person class structure, but you will find some classes that do have that R code on them, which means at least a portion of that class is taught remotely or online. So we kind of talked about lectures and discussions, so you can see R here, and R class denotes that that component of that course is being taught remote or online. So both the lecture has the R class and the discussion has the R class. It's possible that you may see a class that has, one of these, but not the other listed as R class. So you just want to keep a track of that. Unfortunately, at this point in time, there's not a way for you to just search remote classes and try to pick things based on that. But the majority of courses that you're going to find are being taught in person. So back to the script here. We're going to assume that our planned schedule is now going to consist of Chem 6A, Math 10B, Build 4, and then Music 19R. A couple other things I want to point out. You're going to notice on the screenshot that there is a 2-arrow notation next to Chem 6A and then Math 10A. If you see this, what this means is that class is a requirement for your major and also something that can satisfy one of your 8th college GE requirements, so a breadth requirement. Basically, you're satisfying both requirements with one course. I kind of casually call that like a double dipping class. It is possible that you can overlap additional major classes with your breadth requirements if you strategically choose future options that do that. But what this is telling you is this is a class that you have to take for your major, and it then also can satisfy a breadth requirements. The other thing you're going to see here is that there is something next to Build 4 that says See Note. So that's telling you and cueing you to go look at the comment section that we talked about. So here you're going to see that if I scroll down in the comments for this student, there'll be more than this particular comment, but I just screen grabbed the pertinent parts here for this today. You're going to see that the academic plan says that Build 4 is recommended to be taken as soon as possible, but no later than the end of the first year, and that it's taught in fall, winter, and spring. So essentially what that means and what that's signaling to us is that we have flexibility to move Build 4 to later in that first year if we're having trouble fitting all 4 of these classes together. If you're somebody that your academic plan suggests you take a breadth requirement, much like what we did with the DEI class, you're going to need to check the list of approved breadth courses for whatever breadth area you're looking to take before you then go into WebReg and search for those class offerings. For purposes of this example, let's pretend that after searching for all these classes on WebReg, everything fit together nicely, no conflicts, like we see in the screen here. Great. But if that's not the case, you're going to want to have some backup options. Remember, your plan said you could take Build 4 in winter or spring if you needed to. So that's an option to move to create space for your other classes. And then remember, for your breadth and DEI courses, you have multiple options to fill those different requirements. You're not locked into a specific class. So you could look for different classes that also might fit your schedule. So it's a good rule of thumb to always have a backup class in case classes do end up being full. I will mention, and we've added this into the enrollment guidance, is that some students have been logging onto WebReg and noticing like, oh my goodness, like everything is full. Essentially what's happening right now in the process is that the university is aware that new students, so incoming first years and transfers, have not registered for classes yet. So essentially the departments are holding seats kind of in the background so that continuing students don't gobble them all up. But they know you still have to enroll, so they're holding them back. But what the system looks like to the outward-facing world right now is that all those are full. So if you were to log on between now and August 21st, it will look like everything's full and you're probably going to go into a panic. Consider now to kind of be a little bit of a time where you can practice building out a schedule. On August 22nd, the departments are going to release those seats. You're going to see much more of a live, real-time view of what class options there are. So we'll get to this in a minute, but your first pass of enrollment will be on August 29th. So you'll have between the 22nd of August and the 29th to really get a gauge and put this stuff together. When you're building your schedule, you're going to want to use your first pass to sign up for your most restricted or essential classes. Ones that you have a little more flexibility on in terms of options, you can save those for your second pass. So in this example, we're going to want to enroll in Chem 6A and Math 10B in our first pass because those are specific classes that we have to take for our major. And then Build 4 and Music 19, we have some flexibility. So we'll save those for our second pass and then have some backup options if we need it. And that's how it's done. So I'm sure like making it seem simple, and it'll feel much more intuitive once you start playing around with the planned course functions, and hopefully you get a little more comfortable. We're going to close out the presentation portion of things with a few key dates and services for you to keep an eye out for. So August 9th is when your enrollment guidance dropped. So you all should have access to that now. August 10th, so yesterday, the Virtual Advising Center opened up, and advisors are able to communicate with you directly through there. Just being mindful that even though you can write in whenever, advisors are only answering questions during business hours. So Monday to Friday, 8 to 4:30 is considered business hours for the university. So expect that you're not going to get potentially a response in a day, but probably up to 3 days, business days for a reply, and we're going to get back to you as soon as we can. On August 14th is when your appointment times are released. So I saw somebody had asked a question at one point about enrollment times. So everybody has a specific enrollment time that is unique to you, but on August 14th, that's when you are able to log in, like Mike showed you, and see what is your specific enrollment time for first and second pass. So put those in your calendar, whatever sort of reminder system you have for you, put those in there, both the start and end times for both passes. On August 14th and 15th, we are offering an optional post-enrollment kind of debrief, or post-webinar debrief, excuse me, from 11 to noon Pacific time. We understand that those times may not work for everyone, but we at least wanted to get some options in there. And that will be no presentation type material. It is truly like come in for group style sorts of Q&A to ask any follow-up questions you have on the material we presented here today. We won't be doing, and it's not intended for individualized one-on-one questions, but starting August 16th and then going all the way to September 1st, we're going to have varieties of days and times for one-on-one 15-minute speed advising appointments. So again, this will not be intended as long-term advising type questions. These are really geared for quick questions related to first quarter enrollment. So be on the lookout for how you can sign up for those, and then the exact days and times. And then on the 29th will be your first pass of enrollment. We mentioned that the Virtual Advising Center went live yesterday, or the ability to ask a question went live yesterday. Additional functionality will come online later, but we've listed some of the things that you'll be able to do here on VAC. We'll close things out with just some quick resources here, bucketed into kind of community, academic, and then health and well-being. This certainly isn't going to be everything that the campus has to offer. There's so many ways that you can plug in or kind of recharge. And you can peruse this on your own time. There's also a wonderful page here that has some additional resources. At the end, Mike also created a QR code that you can access the resource link sheet that I mentioned earlier. So if you wanted to get a jump on that before you get that in your email inbox, you can scan that. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and put that up now real quick. So I'm going to give folks like 15 seconds to scan that QR code. And then while I'm doing that, I'll invite Aria and Kayla to get primed and ready, because we're going to turn things over to them for probably about 5 minutes to ask them to share a few words of wisdom. So 5, 4, 2, 1, and we'll go back. Boop. And have Kayla and Aria jump on up. I see Aria. And then I know Kayla, are you still here? If you want to unmute.
Yeah, I'm here.
Awesome. Okay. So this is, I think, Kayla, your second time sitting through this. Aria, I think this is maybe your third. So first of all, thank you for being here. And then wanted to just ask, what's your best piece of advice for this group of your peers coming in, knowing where they're at right now, on how to just approach their first quarter at UC San Diego? Aria, you want to kick it off?
Sure. I think for me, my first quarter at UCSD, I got kind of like imposter syndrome, just because I felt like everyone else was like so much more ahead of me and like smarter than me. But if you feel like that, just know that you're not alone, and it's like your thoughts about like other people being more ahead of you or something, that's not like really true. And then there are always resources at UCSD to help you succeed. And I found those really helpful when I was starting off at UCSD. Like there is the Teaching and Learning Commons, which is on the first floor of Geisel, and they also have a website where you can like schedule tutoring sessions. And yeah, so that's what I use to like get content tutoring for material or ask questions about homework, and then also like the writing hub, because I found myself like struggling to like write essays at first, because like the format that my TAs were looking for was different from like what my high school writing program was like. So yeah, I think everyone goes at their own pace, and there are always people that are there to support you. And yeah.
Cool. Kayla, what would you add to that in terms of best piece of advice for approaching fall quarter?
I guess what Aria said, like it's like so much happening. It's like, to me, it's like very overwhelming. But I think just like, I don't know, take time for yourself. If you're like trying to like do all these things at once, it will get very overwhelming, because there's like so many things to do. Like once you get on campus, there's like this and that. But I think if you just take your time and like figure out what you want to do, it'll feel like you're more part of the campus. And it might take some time, but just know that you don't have to like dive headfirst into it. You can just, chill and like see what's around and like explore everything, and just don't feel overwhelmed.
Okay, so a little bit of like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? There's that saying. Oh, you don't have to go head first into everything, and like it should potentially be a 4-year journey. So being able to kind of go at your own pace. Okay, I like it. Aria, you shared a couple resources, particularly the Teaching and Learning Commons that has drop-in tutoring and content tutoring and the Writing Hub. Any other resource that you'd want to make sure this group of folks is aware of?
I think one that I find really useful, I think another orientation leader at Austin, he also like mentioned it. It's like the UCSD map, and like it's kind of useful for knowing like where your classes are, and like if you have like back-to-back classes, you only have like 10 minutes to go from one class to another. So I found it really useful to like plan how far my classes are and if I can make it within 10 minutes or not. um, because if your one class is in Ravel and another class is in Warren, then that's going to be like a 20-minute walk. So it's kind of difficult to do that. So yeah, I found it really useful to yeah, plan my classes.
Cool. Kayla, what about you? Any resource you want to make sure folks today are leaving here knowing about?
What I'm like, I guess, learning recently is that a lot of people don't know about the transit on campus. There is a shuttle that takes you like around campus, and I think the app is called like Triton Transit. So it's very important for like
Okay.
if you like, because I live in Seventh, and it's very far away from everything. So if you like need to get to your class and like it's like a 30-40 minute walk just to get there, there's that. And there's also what's it called? CalFresh. CalFresh is very
Okay.
good, especially if you need, more help like paying for groceries and everything. So that's a really good resource. And then also there's also the Triton Food Pantry if you cannot get CalFresh. But yeah.
Gotcha. Cool. Yeah. The Basic Needs Hub is in the old, what's called the old student center of campus, really historic, cool area of campus. And they've got a whole host of things, but two of them are ones that Kayla mentioned. So CalFresh, and then is a program that you can get access to. And the Triton Food Pantry is a physical space on campus where students can, I think it's on a weekly basis, you can get a certain amount of food from the food pantry. And there's also this grocery shuttle that students can access to get to local grocery stores. So a couple things in there in that health and well-being space, because if you're not able to be back to kind of hierarchy of need, if you don't have a place to sleep, if you don't have your basic needs met, it's harder to do all these things well and be excellent. Awesome. Thanks, Kayla. Let's close it out with Aria and Kayla by just asking you to reflect, and you kind of both mentioned some of this, but what's the biggest transition point you experienced moving from high school to college, and how did you kind of overcome that?
I think for me, it was definitely like getting used to the pace of like the quarter system at UCSD, because my high school was like a semester system. So we didn't really have very many tests or assignments due very frequently. But at UCSD, I had to get used to having like midterms sometimes every week or sometimes like multiple times in a week. And I found it very stressful and overwhelming in the beginning. But I was able to like go to the professor's office hours or the TA's office hours, and I was able to ask them like for advice and like to help me plan out like my studying strategies and space out my studying. And they were able to like ensure me that like everything is like normal and okay, that I'm feeling like overwhelmed because of the transition. And then they were able to help me like with advice, and yeah, I think I was able to become more comfortable with the quarter system and college environment after consulting with them.
Great. Thanks, Aria. Kayla, take it away.
Yeah, I feel like I also agree with Aria. It is like overwhelming the amount of like things that you have to do for your classes. Especially if you like went from like high school, like I guess it's not very like, not hard, but like demanding, I guess is the best word. If you go from that environment to like UCSD, it does feel very overwhelming. And that was also a struggle of mine. Like I feel like I didn't do the best in my classes fall quarter. But after that, I figured out how to like, space out my classes right and like go to tutoring, which tutoring is so good. Especially if you like really don't understand, like you really feel like you can't understand. Tutoring is amazing. Just like using your resources, I feel helps a lot. And again, like please don't overwhelm yourselves.
Great. I think one thing I heard, and I heard both Aria and Kayla say, and then Austin is another orientation leader that's been in these. So we've done 6 of these up until this point, right? So this is our last one for the week. I've heard kind of over and over the student orientation leaders say, don't be afraid to ask for help. They talk about a lot of resources, and I think that's sometimes a barrier for entry for students, of feeling like what Aria mentioned of imposter syndrome and feeling like everybody else has it all figured out and they're doing great and I'm not. And so not, and sometimes not just ever feeling like they've struggled before academically. Maybe that doesn't resonate for everyone, but feeling like I don't want to expose myself by reaching out for help. So that's a very real, I think, barrier to entry for some students, of feeling vulnerable, of putting your hand up and admitting that you need help. And some of these resources that they've both mentioned, I think, are on point, both for succeeding academically and then having a holistically good experience here. There was a question in the chat about academic resources that specifically helped you prep academically. And I think, Aria, that was the Teaching and Learning Commons, and I think, Kayla, you're mentioning that as well. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Cool. So one of the things on this slide here, you have a link to, and we'll see, I've got it set to go to just show parts of my screen. So the Teaching and Learning Commons, I'll just hover over this for students. They've got content tutoring in a variety of subjects, both in person, and they do more like online as well. They've got some learning strategists, some study groups available in certain courses, and then the writing support that Aria mentioned. This certainly isn't everything that the campus has to offer, but the Teaching and Learning Commons is the central hub for a lot of this. I think that's one in particular that students should find really helpful. We're running a little low on time, so want to do this real quick if we can. Are there any other particular questions that you'd like Aria or Kayla to address? And then Mike and I can start firing away in the Q&A function. If folks can either drop those in the, either unmute, you're free to do that, or drop a question for them in the Q&A. Okay, going once, going twice. Okay, well then we will ask, or I just ask that you kind of virtually thank Justin. Thank you so much. Yes, I will do that. But just want to quickly say thank you to Aria and Kayla for being with us on a Friday afternoon. Aria, are you still over in Oahu? So it's like 3 hours earlier?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, have a good rest of the morning then, and a good rest of your day. All right. Thanks both. And then students, if you can stay on.
Thanks for having us.
All right. Bye both. Be well. All right. So at this point, I'm going to just pause for a sec. I'm going to take off screen share. I'm going to go grab those answers that Leroy had promised. Appreciate it again, Justin, for holding me accountable. And then I'll be right back. Mike is going to be handling the Q&A. And if somebody has a question that they want to unmute for, you are perfectly free to do that as well. We are at the point where if you want to jump off, you are not required to be here for the rest, but we've been having some pretty good Q&A throughout the other ones this week. So if you've got the time to stay on, I would encourage you to do so.
All right, I'm going to go through some questions. Just want to triple check the chat just because I saw a lot of things coming through. And I'll start with the question, will an advisor be able to help me plan my classes? Yes, in a couple ways. And so there are a couple ways to facilitate this. One of the ways you can kind of start working on that right now and getting kind of ideas maybe from advisors, not only 8th college advisors who focus on your university related and your GE/breadth requirements, but also your major department advisors. Currently, students should have access to the Virtual Advising Center, vac.ucsd.edu. So you can log into that, and then there should be an Ask a Question tab. If you click on the Ask a Question tab, there's going to be one drop-down menu that states topic. Then select the topic of the question or something that resembles it decently closely, nothing too important to worry about. However, then there's a direct to drop-down menu. And you can direct, if you don't know where to go or if it's GE or university related, always contact 8th first. We can always help with anything as far as referring or even sending to your major department if you don't know where to go. However, if you're like a chemistry student and you're a chemistry major, then you can actually select the chemistry department And that question that you have about your major requirements will be sent directly to chemistry advisors. And the virtual advising center is not just some automated system in the sense of like this, computer or AI is going to respond to your question. It's actually advisors on the other side. So when you send a question to eighth, it will come to myself, it will come to Katie, it will come to our team. But if you send your question to the chemistry department, it will go to chemistry advisors. So you'll be able to kind of use that to ask questions. Hey, do you think this is a good course? Should I enroll in these during first pass? Then we can assist you, as well as your major department can assist you on the best possible ways to kind of plan your courses for fall enrollment. Also, I'm working on this right now, so it's in the works. This is, I'm creating a registration system for one-on-one advising for eighth students. Right. So we're working on that right now. It's not quite ready yet, but it will begin on August 16th. It will run all the way till September 1st, right? Which gives us quite a bit of time prior to enrollment. So if you're unable to kind of get that first slot, don't worry, it's going to be on the 16th, 17th, the 21st, which is, the week after. There are going to be multiple opportunities. So if you do have any confusion about your first quarter enrollment, because that's all we're going to be covering right now is first quarter enrollment questions, we will be able to discuss that with you in one-on-one advising during those sessions. I will send out information, and we will send out more information early next week on how to sign up for that, the link to register for those, and then how we will facilitate those. But again, this is really for first quarter enrollment questions. We won't be able to do long-term academic planning or anything like that just quite yet, because we want to ensure that all students are comfortable enrolling in their first quarter. If you don't have really any questions about first quarter enrollment, if you can leave spaces open for other students, your other cohort students, just in case they might have questions in regard to first quarter enrollment. But we will be making ourselves available prior to enrollment to assist you with one-on-one advising for your first quarter enrollment. We will help as much as we can, but we cannot answer all questions, especially questions that are specific, very specific to your major. But again, we'll do our best to assist. Can I enroll in a community college course while I'm enrolled at UCSD so that I can finish some extra classes? Yes. And I always, asterisk, yes, you technically can. Nothing would per se bar you from doing that. We would not be aware of your enrollment right into a community college. And we do even have some students that do that because maybe they just need that one course that can be fulfilled at a community college. So this is possible. Just to give a heads up, this is kind of difficult. And I'm speaking from a former community college student myself, but also a former UCSD student. Community colleges, especially in San Diego, are predominantly semester system, which do not align very well with the quarter system. So you will be kind of on a different schedule. And another thing is UCSD is pretty intensive. So you will be having, sometimes a lot of midterms, and, you will be having a lot of rigor. So doing those two things, I don't often recommend, but I can't say we will bar you from enrolling into a community college course during your UCSD enrollment. One common thing that we do see at UCSD are students enrolling in community college courses during summer. That is probably the one we see the most, and the one I might recommend if you are thinking that route. Always, I always try to compare, the community college and, UCSD. And community college, again, was so great for my journey. So, community college is a great space and great place. But again, sometimes, UCSD is, a top flight university. You're going to be working with some of the best professors. Your classmates are going to be some of the brightest individuals around, and you're just going to have such a great learning environment at UCSD. I always do try to promote UCSD classes. But again, there are financial decisions to be made. There are time decisions to be made. So I can't say, taking community college classes is not a possibility. Technically, you can. Again, we see it most commonly during summer session. With the new enrollment date, I know I'll get out a the country flying out on that day. How should I navigate this? Yeah, so this is actually a difficult and tricky one, and it's not per se uncommon. So this is in regards to having an enrollment date when I'm traveling, to the United States to come to campus. The good thing is enrollment dates are open usually for 48 hours. Also, WebReg can be accessed on phones. So if you're able to even, connect to an airport, I travel a lot. So if you can connect to airport Wi-Fi and be able to, access that on your phone, that's a great way to, work around that. But let's, take a couple hypotheticals, because there's a lot of covariates that can occur in this moment in time. Let's say, hey, I completely missed my first pass enrollment time. Once your first pass enrollment time closes, you're not going to be able to enroll at that moment in time. However, once your second pass enrollment opens, you're still able to enroll in up to 19.5 units, which usually translates into 4 4-unit courses. So just in case you miss first pass enrollment, you'll still be able to do second pass enrollment. And let's say, hey, I missed both for whatever reason. Enrollment will be closed for just a short time, but it comes back online September 6th. So then you would be able to enroll even, after first pass and second pass enrollment, all the way from September 6th until the second week of instruction in fall quarter. So there's a pretty big, enrollment time and enrollment period. But again, you're going to want to try to enroll during first pass because classes do fill up. So if you do have that opportunity to maybe hop on Wi-Fi at an airport, that might be a great way to facilitate that. And you can do that on your phone. Would you guys happen to know how long it would take to get results for my math placement exam? So math placement exams are usually actually updated the calendar day after you've taken the exam, except for university holidays and things of that nature. Usually the system is quite, fast on updating the MPE, and I can actually provide information on that exact, well, I could provide a link for that exact information in just one moment. And I'll drop this in the chat just so you can read through it. It says, except on holidays and campus breaks. So students will be able to get their MPE results, usually again, a day after they have accessed and finished the MPE. So let me get this, and then it will be in the test results section of this link that I'm dropping in the chat. And let me click on everyone. There we go. And then you can find, just the policies and the processes for the MPE on that right there. When should we expect out-of-state community college transfer? I had to take a deep breath prior to finishing that question. So I'm going to reread the question. When should we expect out-of-state community college transcripts / transfer credit to be processed? Again, the admissions office is going through a delay right now. There's, a lot of students that are coming in. So transcripts do have a delay for processing. We were hoping this would obviously all be cleared prior to enrollment as long as transcripts were submitted on time. But I cannot be 100% certain, and I don't want to give any wrong information. Again, the admissions office is doing their best job possible to update as many transcripts as possible prior to that enrollment time, but we cannot guarantee that all transcripts, even if they were submitted on time, will be updated prior to enrollment. So please be patient. Again, the admissions office is doing their best, possible. It is a lot of students coming into the campus. Really sorry about that delay, but again, that would be up to the admissions office and how fast they can facilitate the review and evaluation of those delayed transcripts. How much time should we make sure to have between classes to make sure we can get there on time? Is it a bad idea to have classes where we only have 10 minutes to get from one to the next class? So I'm going to give you, the student perspective and the staff perspective. I was a student at UCSD. UCSD is a big campus, so this is going to be my student perspective first. UCSD is a massive campus sometimes, and sometimes classes are on the other side of campus. So considering it's a big campus, if it's all the way on the other side of campus, I can tell you this. In the dorm that I was living in on campus, leaving there to get to one class in Revelle, it took me about a 20-minute walk. So it can take some time. I will let you know There are obviously scooters on campus that you can, kind of rent and, use a scooter to get across campus. And that's a possibility. But, always kind of make sure where your classes are at. So like really looking up where the building is located, because if the building is located somewhere near, 10 minutes in between classes is enough time. And just to give you a heads up, I did have one class that was kind of across campus. That was 10 minutes. And I cut through the forest. So I would not use the pathways that were given because I would actually get docked. And I didn't know this. I'd get docked if I was late to class. Like you lose points. And so this depends on the class. Some professors and discussions are not like that at all, right? But again, I can't guarantee that. And that's going to be up to professors, TAs on the processes and policies they have for their classes. So just double check. But again, I did do it. I'd come in class sweating because of it, which was not a cool thing. And I did not like that. So I did manage my classes a little bit better as far as distance and things like that. So what I'd suggest, staff perspective is really just check where the courses are located. See if you have, the ability to kind of get across campus at that moment in time. Usually the good thing is if you're taking like certain sets of classes, like let's say I'm taking, a chem and a math, usually they're decently close to each other because, the campus is sometimes a little bit sectionalized. So, really just double check, where the buildings are at, but it can happen, but also be aware. And you do have options, you can bring bikes, skateboards, electronic skateboards, the one wheel. You can also, again, rent scooters on campus that are, electric scooters to get across campus if you need to. So there are a couple options. And we do have buses on campus that are completely free and can take you across campus. So I think there's still ways. But again, just be aware if you are walking. I love walking. So that's kind of why I didn't do the scooter and stuff. So, just really, try to plan that out. But there are ways. Just figuring it out beforehand is the best way possible. And one thing I used to do as a student, like the day or two before classes, I'd literally do a walk of my classes to see how long it took me to get in between one class to another. Is there a limit on how many summer classes I can take? So at UCSD, I'm going to give you the policy, and then I'm going to give you just a personal recommendation. I took summer classes as a UCSD student as well. The policy states, and we have 2 summer sessions at UC San Diego, summer session 1 and summer session 2. Summer session 1 is the first block, and then summer session 2 obviously is the second block of summer session. You can take up to 12 units maximum during summer session. That is 3 classes. Please be advised, summer session is only 5 weeks long. So if you think 10 weeks is short, 5 weeks is super short and it goes by really, really fast. I took a summer class and I only took 1. I did fine in it. I felt good in it, but that was 1 class during 1 summer session. So please, be advised. Again, you can take 12 units maximum. I'd recommend 8 units maximum. I hear that's pretty manageable from what I've heard, not only from, former students and friends of mine, but also other students as a staff member as well. So, again, each and every person is going to have a different experience, a different, unique situation. I also worked while I was a student, so I needed to factor that into my time and everything like that. So, again, there's going to be different priorities for each and every student. So, really work with what you have going on. Also, if you see like, hey, I took 12 units, I bit off more than I can chew, there is a drop deadline. So always check the dates and timelines, such as drop deadlines, just in case you need to remove one course if it is too much to manage, because 5 weeks moves really, really fast. Can you explain again the difference between first pass and second pass enrollment? Absolutely, absolutely. So first pass enrollment is your first enrollment time. During that moment in time, when you have first pass enrollment, you're able to enroll in up to 11.5 units. Usually that's 2 4-unit courses for 8 units. Because if I enrolled in a third 4-unit course, that's 12 units and the system would not allow it. Right? So usually you can enroll in 2 courses during your first pass enrollment time. Then you're going to get a second enrollment time, which is considered second pass. And during that enrollment time, you can enroll and waitlist up to 19.5 units. So as an example, if I've already enrolled during my first pass enrollment in 2 4-unit courses, that's 8 units. That means I can enroll in up to 2 more 4-unit courses for a total of 16 units. Because if I enrolled in a fifth, that would be 20 units and the system wouldn't allow it. So it's just separate enrollment times. And what this is, and let me explain the why this occurs. If students maybe got really lucky with their enrollment time, right? They're the first of the first, and they got to enroll in all the classes that they wanted to. That would be very unequitable for other students, considering that they would then maybe not be able to enroll in courses if they maybe had a much later enrollment time. So this provides a little bit more equity among students in enrollment. So that's just the why of why is there two pass enrollment, but that's how it works. Again, first pass enrollment up to 11.5 units, and then second pass enrollment up to 19.5 units, including waitlisted courses. Could you go over parking? Katie, I do not know if you park on campus. I take public transit, so I do not know anything about parking.
Yeah, my understanding with things is that first year students are not able to purchase parking permits that live on campus. And this is to just allow for more space on campus for commuter students. And so first years are not able to purchase parking permits. You could purchase a daily permit, just like any member of the general public is able to do so, but you're not able to have a car that you keep on campus unless you're paying like a daily permit. There are some limited free lots around campus. I would not put that out there as like, oh, well, Katie just said bring my car and there's free parking. Like, don't take that to mean that. But there are some like little spots that I know some continuing students do sometimes park in. This will probably mean nothing to you now, but the term like glider port is an area that's kind of like a dirt lot that's probably a 10-ish minute brisk walk where some students definitely do park. But in general, rule of thumb is that first years don't have students living on campus first years living on campus are not allowed to purchase parking permits. There is an exception process, but again, I would not take that as like, oh, cool, there's an exception process, I'm going to just do that and bank on it. I would say it's pretty limited exceptions for that.
Thank you so much. I am just finishing up one typed response.
Same here. So just hang with us.
Yeah, we almost there, and there it is. And so I'll go back to the top. And Katie, this is another drive question. Do you advise us to drive to class, especially if it is a long distance?
That's a tough call. Because your schedule as a student, right, is going to kind of depend on the days that you need to be on campus. So I think there's some ways that you can be creative potentially, and this may get easier as you move up years, because you're just going to have more classes that are specific to your major versus especially if you have a major that has some foundational classes, like all first years are going to be taking those in your major. So you may end up having more flexibility to kind of stack your schedule in a way that limits how many days a week you're having to drive to campus. I think one thing someone could do, and I would actually maybe want to talk to some of our orientation leaders to get some tips on that. Right, like I drive from probably about 25 minutes from campus, but I have a parking permit because I'm there a lot as a staff member, right? And I am allowed to buy a parking permit. So I think if somebody's driving from a long distance, I think one thing that could be good is to utilize some park and ride lots and then take the trolley into campus. There's a central location, so I don't know where this person's coming from, but in Old Town, there's a kind of main hub for transit, the Old Town trolley station. And so there's a large lot there that people can park in for free for day use. And then you could hop on the trolley and the blue line comes right up to campus. So if that's an accessible option for you, that might be a great way to do that and avoid the parking situation. And then just kind of know to plan your schedule. like to maybe park or stay all day on campus and maybe knock out some of your scheduling or your studying on campus and then take it ride back, right? So depending on what your living situation is, if you're living at home, it's sometimes easier to get your studying done away from family obligations, right? So it comes down to how you schedule things. But I think long story short, if you can utilize some of those maybe park and ride and then take public transit, that could be a cool option.
Cool. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Katie. Also, if anyone has any questions on public transit, now that I'm an expert on.
He's your guy.
Yeah. Nobel Drive is actually another really good open lot, and it's right next to campus. So you can like
Cool.
almost drive all the way up to campus, park in the Nobel lot, which is like a huge tower parking, and then it's 1 or 2 stops away or something like that. So that's just an option if you want to be really close to campus. But the blue line goes all the way from the border all the way up to UC San Diego and UTC, which is the nearby mall. One question that I did get: do I have any tips as an alumni? Yeah, I mean, enjoy the journey. It's not always going to be linear, right? Like we always, I think, try to plan as much as possible. But again, I think one of the things I learned in my leadership studies, the world is VUCA, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, right? We can't plan for everything, right? Because the world is just something that we can't always plan for. So what that's about is just being able to be adaptable and flexible, right? Like even if we're just talking about like this scheduling, right? Maybe I don't get my first choice courses. Well, what's my plan B and my plan C? Or where do I adjust? How do I be flexible? And to not per se, take that as like, I didn't get my first choice. I mean, that, happens, even in my application process, when I, went into higher education, I didn't get into all my schools. And so, sometimes you need to be adaptable and flexible and then figure out kind of different ways to move along the journey. But the journey is absolutely worth it. Like I loved my time at UC San Diego. I love what I do at UC San Diego. And, it really did, change my life and the trajectory of my life. I actually didn't come back to school until I was like 30. Now I'm dating myself. And, I worked, sales jobs. I worked 2 jobs. I worked, anywhere from 60 to 70-hour weeks at times at the age of 19. Like, I went through, the gauntlet, and, school is just an amazing place, an amazing opportunity, and try things. And I think that's one big thing for me. You don't know what you're going to like until you actually do it. Things sound really good in theory sometimes, but once we do it in practice, it might not actually, gel with us and how we want these things to occur. An example, I did an internship or a volunteer opportunity for Mike Levin's campaign in Vista. I was a political science student, so I was like, I'm going to go into politics. I loved my major. I did not like the business or the profession of politician, if that makes sense. And I found that out in my volunteer opportunity. But I loved my volunteer opportunity. I actually loved Mike Levin as a candidate, but it just wasn't for me. And that was just, I think, something that was very important to my journey and who I am as a person, because it actually then led me to my graduate program. So I think that's just one of those big things that I mentioned to students. There's tons of opportunities on campus, like tons of them. Try those ones that you think that you're going to enjoy, but also don't hesitate to be like, hey, this isn't for me, and go to the next opportunity, right? And so I think, those are, things of just exploring, right? And I think that's what education is, right? Exploring perspective, exploring theory, but also exploring who we are, what we like, because that changes over time. So I think that, school is just a great opportunity to explore, to engage, to, create networks. Also, like if you just look around you right now, like y'all could really network right now, right? Like networking sometimes is this big thing, like, oh, I need to go to this business dining thing. That's not the case. I'll tell you, some of my best friends, just while I was a student in class, are now my network on LinkedIn and those types of things. And now create this network that I can potentially reach out to, like, hey, do you have any job opportunities over here? Do you have any job opportunities over there? So those are like really good things just to, really enjoy your time here at UCSD and really enjoy the journey. That's not always going to be linear, and try things. Be okay with trying things and knowing that, hey, it might not be for me. And then one last resource, this is going to be an inside scoop. Take it with a grain of salt. But I don't know if you use this, Katie, when you were a student, but I just dropped it in the chat. cape.ucsd.edu. It's not shared that much, and I didn't know about it as a student, and I think that's horrible, because I think at Research 1A institutions, what we're supposed to be really good at is researching things, right? And so this allows you to research courses and professors. So you can type, once you log in, you can actually type in the course, such as like Econ 1, and it will show you all the professors that have finished an Econ 1 course and the surveys that students submitted about that professor. Take it with a grain of salt. I literally had professors or students were like, oh, I don't like this professor, and I love the professor, right? Take it with a grain of salt, because these are, survey responses. However, what I really liked when I searched a professor is not per se, did you like the professor? Did you like the course?
Give me a name, Mike. We'll do it live.
Oh, do like an Econ 1. Just put like an Econ 1 for course number. Yeah. So this resource I absolutely love, and I try to promote it as much as possible. Yeah, and that was my happy hands. Sorry. That's my excited hands. But what you can see, and the section that I love the most, because sometimes you can't choose your professors. Sometimes there's only one professor that only teaches one course that is absolutely necessary to your major. We don't have very many options, but the study hours per week column was my money column.
Yeah.
Because it allowed me to understand, hey, which courses, because again, if it's a required course and it tells me 10 hours per week, then I'm going to be like, okay, let me maybe look for a DEI course that I'm interested in that maybe balances out that study hours per week a little bit better. That to me was the most important, because again, I worked while I was on campus, so I needed to manage my time very, very wisely, right? If I had more time, well, then maybe, hey, the study hours per week doesn't matter so much. But again, take it with a grain of salt. These are, again, surveys that are done by students. So after each and every course you take every quarter, professors will ask you to fill this out, and this is where the data goes. So again, take this information with a grain of salt, but it's a really good resource. Again, when we research anything, it's about finding as much information as possible. So I think this is just one of those things as an alumni I wish I knew about a lot earlier in my career. But again, sometimes you just need to take the professors that you need to take, because they might be the only ones that are available. And going back to the Q&A, what would you recommend to undeclared majors? For undeclared majors, I really recommend, starting with your Breath GE courses, maybe a DEI course, but also start searching maybe for certain courses of interest that you think maybe this might be the major for me, and start taking 1 or 2 of those courses per quarter until you find something that really resonates with you, right? Because I think that's what's part of the journey as well, is, again, trying things out, seeing what you like, seeing what you don't like, and then figuring it out along the way. And so really, work with that, but you can also go to plans.ucsd.edu. You can select 8th college, your entering year, and then you can select unaffiliated. And then at the bottom drop-down menu, select undeclared UN27, and it will have an academic plan for undeclared majors. But again, start searching for courses that you might think are of interest that could potentially lead to a major. How long does it take for Parchment to send out transcripts? So Parchment is an automated transcript submission system. Transcripts can take anywhere from 3 weeks to 8 weeks to process. And it just depends, number one, obviously, when they're received. And obviously, if you're doing it electronically, it's probably going to be received a little bit sooner than if it's done by physical mail. So that could, take maybe a week off, right? So it all depends on, number one, when it's received. But as of right now, again, admissions office is being a little bit delayed currently right now with transcripts. So we can't tell exactly when that's going to happen. If you've already sent in your transcripts through Parchment, don't worry about sending them in again. Again, there's just a delay with transcripts, so I can't give an exact date, but most often, especially when it's not admission, time and incoming students, Usually it can take anywhere from 3 to 8 weeks on average, but as of right now, this process is delayed because admissions is working through a lot of transcripts. The MPE is only required for certain majors, right? So if your major does not have any math requirements at all, you could technically not have to take the MPE. The reason is if you look at the quantitative methods and engineering breadth requirements and the course list, some of those courses actually do not have any prerequisites to enter into. One course that I'm going to use an example of because I was a political science student is Poly 30D. And this is a statistics course, but it does not have any prerequisites. So you wouldn't then technically have to take the MPE to enter into that course. You can then take that Poly 30D course and it would satisfy one of your quantitative methods and engineering requirements. And I believe there's more courses than just that one, but that's the one that sits on the top of my head. So again, it is dependent on major. And if not, no math major courses, just double check the breadth GE requirements under quantitative methods and engineering to see what courses do not have prerequisites.
Good group today. Great questions. What else you got?
Any other questions?
Elizabeth, I feel like you got a question. No?
No, I'm good. Thanks for checking
I
it
just
out.
love that you have your camera. Like, you're like, it's just so fun. Like, I feel like I'm being super hokey, but like, it really is genuinely fun to see all your faces. I've been on the staff from 8th College since February. And so, and Mike joined just last week, or this week, this Monday. He's been at the university already. And I've been on campus for 15 plus years, but there's just been a lot of buildup to like actually getting to meet you all. I don't expect that you share the same enthusiasm for us necessarily, but I hope you do, because we're pretty pumped to meet you.
I do have a question that I would like to answer. What if the entry-level courses you originally plan to take are full? Just to give a heads up, not all seats have been made available quite yet. So full transparency, continuing students registered for their courses for fall 2023 quite a bit of time ago, right? So it looks like all the courses are absolutely full. However, departments have actually saved seats for incoming students. I can't say for all departments in all courses. However, for a predominant majority of those courses that are kind of required and a lot of students will be enrolling in, there should be opening and availability of seats. This will be displayed on August 22nd. So what we recommend right now is really going through, your enrollment guidance, going through your plans, creating tentative plans on WebReg, and then go back on August 22nd to WebReg to see kind of a real life view of what courses have available seats. And then you'll be able to adjust that plan schedule based off the seats that are available. And you can continue to log into WebReg until your enrollment time and see a live kind of update of how many seats are, getting, taken and how many seats are still available prior to your enrollment time. But August 22nd is the date. You'll kind of get that full view of available seats.
I can take this one, Mike, regarding housing. So the question is, as an 8th College student, is my dorm room guaranteed to be in 8th College? So this one is a tough one this year, and it's a bummer because we ideally would like the question to be, or answer that question to be yes. But not all the buildings for 8th College are going to be all finished in time for fall quarter. So what they're doing is there will be a number of students that are living on campus in 8th that are in what is called, which is Building 5, which is named Podemos. That is going to be open for fall quarter. There will be also some students that are 8th College students that will live in 6th College. Don't consider that a downgrade per se, because while we will miss you being in the physical footprint of 8th College, the dorms and the facilities within 6th College are some of the newest on campus, so they're great. Building 4, which is named Sankofa, will open at the start of winter quarter. Those 8th college students that are housed over in 6 will have the option. We won't force you to do this because moving can be tough, and we want to limit disruption on students as much as possible. But you will have the option then to move into the 8th college space if you so desire. There'll be some programming that is intended to ensure, like, kind of bridging that gap between the students that are living in 8th and the 8th college students that are living in 6th. And this isn't the first time the campus has had kind of this mixed residential component to it, but this is the way we're going to make some lemonade out of lemons that unfortunately we weren't able to get all those buildings delivered in time. It is not for lack of effort. I have met the tradesfolk that are over there busting their hump to like get these buildings done in a way that are safe and just amazing for you all. But that's how that will work in terms of where 8th college students will live in the fall if you're on campus. The question on SHIP, Mike, do you feel comfortable answering that? I wouldn't necessarily. I mean, I know what SHIP is, and I know a little bit about insurance, but for me, this would be one I'd prefer to, like, personally. But I leave it to you on how much you know in this space.
Yeah, no. I was getting some web pages actually. I
Cool.
waived UC SHIP because I had insurance through my employer at the time. But this is all done through student health and UC SHIP specifically. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to send you the waiving UC SHIP webpage. So even though I'm answering it live, I hope to give you a couple resources in the chat as well. Here is the link to waiving. And you need to provide documentation, and you need to provide documentation not only on like, hey, I have insurance, but documentation in the sense of like what type of insurance you have, how much coverage you have, and how close a hospital is. And it needs to be your home hospital. So consider that if you have to like change, like, I was a Kaiser, right? And so like, let's say my home Kaiser was in Los Angeles, and then I'm moving to UC San Diego, I would need to switch my home hospital to like a San Diego Kaiser. So there's a lot of steps involved. It's actually sometimes a very convoluted process. So really, working with UC SHIP specifically, and I'm going to drop that link in the chat. And then I'm also going to include their email address just in case you do have any questions about UC SHIP. Again, they're going to be the best able to respond to any of your questions, just in case it's like, hey, how do I do this? How do I complete that waiver? What are the requirements? Or any, I love that, Zach. Like that makes the day right there. Love it. Love it. And so there's the links in the chat. So love seeing extra individuals and doggies, especially, and animals in the picture, dude. That is so awesome. So yeah, sorry I digressed. But yeah, that's how you contact UC SHIP. That is also all the information for waiving UC SHIP. And again, if there's any questions, please reach out to that email. They'll be able to assist you as much as possible.
Zach, what's your dog's name?
His name is Chewbacca.
Yes.
Oh, right on. Cool.
Awesome.
He just wanted to say hi, I guess.
Oh, and we're
That's
not
cool.
mad at him. Yeah. Awesome. Any other questions?
I'm going to go ahead and grab the debrief links for next week, and I'll just drop those in there for you. We're going to email those out, but and Mike, well, you and I will have to stay on just to make sure we're going to for sending those out, because it is on Monday and today is Friday. So we'll get that out to everybody today. But if you want it now, give me just a sec. Thanks, Daniel. Great to meet you.
Also, just as a heads up, as we get those links for you as well, you can find those links at vac.ucsd.edu.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, it is on the front page. It is on the front page of the vac.ucsd.edu if you scroll all the way down on the front page.
For those
And-
of you that are still around, we will still send a pretty short survey next week. But if you're comfortable now, just for some instant feedback, and we encourage you to be honest. We want honest feedback. Scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like, this was the best, and 1 being, this was horrible. How helpful was this in helping in those 5 goals that we set at the beginning? Spencer's given us a 10 with the hands. Awesome. The full 10 from Zach. All right, cool. 8, 10, sweet. 9, okay. Awesome. Good. All right. That is the goal, that we're living in that like 7, 8, 9, 10 range. That's fair. Totally fair. Time zone difference. Tough. We're global. Fair feedback. All right, there's the links. Like Mike said, they are on the VAC homepage. And then we'll also have the one-on-one speed advising. Those are intended as 15-minute, like quick stuff. I think a good way to think about that is if you've got a couple like questions that you're just thinking you might put in an email or might put in the VAC as a virtual advising message that you'd like to talk over in person instead of submitting a couple different things. Jump on, sign up for an appointment in that time frame. Mike is doing something pretty cool with this. So drop in sometimes can feel like, oh, the queue is so long. Am I number 50? How long am I going to have to sit on here listening to this awful music like in the background? Mike, can you tell them how you set this up?
Yeah, most definitely. So the way that, drop-ins traditionally work is, let's say, hey, our office is open from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. It's really just a first come, first serve, right? Because it's going to, the student that checks in first is going to be admitted first, obviously the second student, third student, fourth student, and so on, right? So there's kind of this line or this queue, right? And with online drop-ins, sometimes you don't actually know where you are in the queue, right? And so we don't want students to have to like, hey, you entered in last and you got to wait an hour, 45 minutes because for whatever reason, everyone logged in at the exact same time. So what I'm doing is on the registration form that I'm actually going to send out, it's going to have sections where you can actually select this section in the block you want to enroll in. So the most you'll have to wait is anywhere from about 15 to 20 minutes maximum. So there won't be this long 1 hour wait. The maximum wait you would have is anywhere from 15 and 20 minutes, as we might be just kind of finishing up with a certain student that we're with. But hopefully that's going to help mitigate, well, it will mitigate a lot of that wait time, which can potentially just build up because everyone might log in at that same time. So we're doing it into 30-minute increments instead of just giving you this whole 2-hour block to log into. So you will select a 30-minute increment where you want to log in. And then we would, sometimes it would be right away. And then the longest wait would be, one student in front of you, which would be about 15 to 20 minutes. So that's the way I kind of worked this drop in. So you wouldn't have this, immense long wait. And I wouldn't want you to wait for, an hour and a half to see an advisor, because, everyone logged in at the same time.
Yeah. And then we just ask you to be good partners to us and your peers on this, that like kind of knowing that those are intended as more of those quick questions. And again, not long-term academic plans. We will have time and we'll have space for that, but we want to make sure to be able to see as many folks on some of those questions for enrollment for fall quarter. Anything else?
We got one more. Our math chem placement.
All right, let's do it.
Required. So I'm just going to go over this briefly. Math placement could be required if you don't meet the math prerequisites. based off your major requirements. So if your major requires math, specifically, especially math 10 series or math 20 series, if you don't have a qualifying AP, IB score, or SAT score, then you would want to take the math placement to see where you would, then enter into for the math 10 and math 20 series. If your major does not have a math, major requirement, then you can look at the 8th college breadth GE requirements under quantitative methods and engineering to find courses that do not have math prerequisites, which means then you would not have to take the math placement exam. Chem placement test is not required. Let's say you place into Chem 6A or even Chem 4, that is only a suggestion. The system would not per se bar you based specifically on that placement. Only time it would bar you is then if you don't meet per se the prerequisites to enter into those courses by themselves. But the placement would not bar you from enrolling into, a specific chem course. Whereas the math placement, if you don't have those qualifying scores and say you placed into math 4C and you're only then able to take math 4C. So the math is a little bit more rigid placement if you don't have your qualifying AP, IB, or SAT scores. The chem placement is a suggestion and a recommendation, not per se exactly what you would have to take.
Mike, you do your dance.
Oh, and I do a lot of dance breaks. So if you ever just see me moving, and that's without any music. So just imagine if music came on. It's a good way to move. I took a positive psychology course in graduate school. And one of the ways to increase serotonin is literally just dancing. So you can feel better just by dancing. So don't ever hesitate to do a dance break. That's just a personal recommendation. So.
I mean, Mike and I will outweight y'all, all y'all, if we need to.
I won't blink first. No.
Yeah.
Just sit in silence and cracks first. No, I'm just kidding.
I like that you're all staying on though, like on a Friday afternoon / evening / multiple different time zones. We are all in.
On that academic calendar thing, are you able to move around the blocks to
Good question.
visualize your schedule better if you did a practice run, if that makes sense?
Makes total sense. Mike, you good with that one?
We're talking about WebReg, right? Where WebReg kind of puts those.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't be able to per se just be dragged and moved around because it's going to be specific to that course, and that course is specific to that time and day. So it wouldn't per se be able to move around, but you can always adjust, right? I found another Econ 1 course that's at a different time, so I can remove this one and then add this one. And so you can play around with it that way. And so the planning function is really great just to, toggle with at the beginning. And, I think that's exactly, where we should be is really just trying to explore, all those resources that we mentioned and really playing around with WebReg, get used to the system, right? Because there's going to be a learning curve to every new system that we come into contact with. So really, just trying to use that plan function, I think, is just super important. And then on August 22nd, you'll get a really good idea of what courses have seats available, and then you can kind of adjust. But I really do recommend to kind of play around with the system as of right now and really try planning.
Awesome.
And then Mike, if students were interested in creating their own personalized version of their 4-year plan,
yes.
Remind me, the academic planner tool is only accessible once they're here, but is there still that Excel sheet that I think did you mention that the other day?
Yes. So academic plans, and this is going to be different to each department. Some major departments have their own academic plans, right? And so they have these special seats sheets, documents for their major that has like all your major courses listed. That's not technically like the campus wide version. That's only going to be predominantly major related, even though technically you probably can use them with different departments and your college. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually give you a link that can provide kind of a academic plan form, and it's kind of like an Excel sheet, and is very similar to the degree planner tool, which you'll have access to once you're enrolled in courses. But here's a spreadsheet. Like if you want to create a personalized academic plan, right, it's going to be blank, right? Because again, we're not going to know what AP courses you come in with. We're not going to know maybe what college courses you come in with, and we're not going to know each and every course you're per se taking quite yet. The degree planner tool, you can load your old courses and it will have your transfer or AP credit units on there. So that's why the degree planner tool is really nice, and it can be accessed by all your advisors. However, this is just really, really good for personalized academic planning. And the way personalized academic planning works, you're going to want to meet with your major department first. You're going to want to get all your major requirements listed, because a lot of majors have sequence courses, right? So like I have to take a Math 10A and then a Math 10B and then a Math 10C, or your, physics series and stuff like that. So that's why it's really, really good to meet with your major first, to plan out all those sequence courses first. And then you would want to meet with 8th College Advising. So then we'll help you plan your GEs and your university related requirements and fit those in around your major requirements. And then we also double check just to make sure you're meeting all your unit requirements and all those kind of requirements that aren't always really kind of upfront, such as your majors and your GEs. So that's the way academic planning works. But you can also then start planning if you want a double major or if you want a minor. You can then meet with, those double major departments or those minor departments to then fill in minor courses. Or if you're going like pre-health, you can meet with, the pre-health advisors to then input pre-health courses, right? And so that's kind of how academic planning works at UC San Diego for your long-term personalized academic plans.
So basically, like the big theme would be approach my major first and then approach 8th College second.
You got it right on the nose. Exactly, Zach. So, the major department, again, is going to be probably of the utmost importance, especially if they're series courses, because we don't want to mess around with those. And a lot of their course offerings aren't every single quarter. They know that better than we do, right? Because they create their courses, they plan their courses, they hire the professors and the faculty members, right? And they really, really have all the information on their major courses. So it's best to start with the major first, and then with 8th College, then we can kind of fit in your breadth GEs and also discuss like future plans. Do I want to go to grad school? What does that look like? Do I have pre-health and stuff like that? And then we can assist you and guide you towards, the pre-health advisors and those types of things, where then you can really create that personalized academic plan.
Awesome. Well, with that, I'm going. Peace out, guys. This is awesome.
Definitely. Have a good one, Zach.
Bye to you and Chewbacca. Any other last few questions we can answer for y'all before we head into the weekend? You're welcome, Samantha. Have a good one.